with Rock Stop, and today we have Bob Welch. And Bob, we're going to go back a little bit here. We're going to talk about what you did before you got into Fleetwood Mac. Give me a little background.
Yeah, well, like I was saying, that's, to me, one of the most interesting parts of my life is I was in the whole Los Angeles R&B scene. I mean, we played in a club. We were the house band. My band, the Seven Souls, was a house band in a club on the Crenshaw area of LA called Maverick's Flat for about 5 years. And we had, this was in the heyday of R&B in LA, you know, when Otis Redding was on the charts. And if this jockeys like Al Scott would play Try a Little Tenderness like 15 times in a row and stuff. And we started out by, we backed up people like Ike and Tina Turner, opened for them, and we, you know, Fifth Dimension, it was then called the Versatiles, and we had Billy Preston, all those kinds of people. The band that was later turned into Rufus with Shaka Khan was developed out of that club, and we played with all those guys. And actually my band was almost signed to, David Kaepernick at CBS Records was going to either sign us, the Seven Souls, or Fly in the Family Stone.
So Fly went out.
He made the right choice. I mean, he signed Fly in the Family Stone because they were really much more original and much more new and different and everything. But we were kind of in that whole scene. I was mentioning to you that we played at the fundraiser for Bobby Kennedy at the Ambassador Hotel the day, you know, the fundraiser that he was killed at. And then we left and we were got on the plane back to Vegas. We were doing the Nero's Nook or something, the Caesar's Palace in Vegas, and we were on the plane about 45 minutes, and the pilot came on and said Bobby Kennedy had been shot, and we saw the whole entourage coming in there. So it was a whole interesting scene that the rhythm and blues, Los Angeles rhythm and blues scene. I mean, we opened up for Etta James at the 5-4 Ballroom, Bobby Blue Bland, and you know, and then it was a whole switch. The Fleetwood Mac thing kind of was going into a whole different world, because I wasn't really, my thing for, you know, 8 years or so had been kind of R&B. We were what they used to call an R&B show band type thing, which later Earth, Wind and Fire really kind of emulated a lot of the stuff that we were doing. And that was a fascinating era, it really was. You know, I might write a book about it someday or something.
Well, I you know, that's kind of equivalent to what the Beatles did in Germany. I mean, that's the kind of stuff you cut your teeth on. I know that half of the Rascals were playing with Joey D in the Starliners, you know.
Oh, I mean, sure.
In Vegas, and then I remember Felix saying of the Rascals saying, you know, that was their testing ground, you know, learning, you know, from this experience, how to play the blues, you know.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I remember we opened up for the Righteous Brothers about 3 or 4 dates in like Sacramento, and we this is a funny one. We actually the Seven Souls actually played for Bobby Hatfield's wedding at the Beverly Hills Hotel. And that's when I first met Dick Clark. I remember going in the men's room at the Beverly Hills Hotel and seeing this person with it. This is a terrible story, but I'm going to cut this out. There's nothing dirty about it. But,
go ahead and tell me.
But I saw this rather, you know, kind of a small man with his back to me at the, you know, with a great big head. I mean, you know. And he turned around, and, you know, I was only 19 or something. So oh my God, I was Dick Clark zipping up his fly. I said, are you Mr. Clark? I was just floored. I was a big fan. Stuff like that. I mean, I was so young, but we did all kinds of stuff like that. Jerry Parenchio, who was a big fight promoter, was, you know, managed us for about a week. You know, we didn't know what was happening. We were too young. We didn't have our act together at all. But we were a good band, you know, and it was a wonderful time. It really was.
So what made you want to go to Paris?
Well, the way that all happened is the club that the Seven Souls were playing in Maverick's Flat became a real hot spot in the mid-'60s. And on the weekends we'd have like Muhammad Ali and Steve McQueen and Alan McGraw, and, you know, do the after-hours thing, and, you know, show would start at midnight. There'd be lines around the bar. We had all this jet set thing. And one of the guys to go there was this guy, John von Neumann, who was a wealthy German guy, lived in Switzerland. He owned the Volkswagen, franchise.
Right.
Nobody asked about his background because they were afraid to ask, what did you do during the war? Nobody wanted to ask. But anyway, John von Neumann really liked our band, and he used to come and see us all the time when he was in L.A. And so he was opening up some hotels that he owned in Europe, and he basically bought us, paid our gigs and took us over to Europe, and we played in these hotels for like 3 months in Saint-Tropez in the summer, and then in Paris. And that's how we wound up going over there all the time. We'd be 6 months in Europe playing at John von Neumann's hotels. Of course, it was a great life for a musician.
Oh, sure.
2 in the afternoon, and you don't have to travel, and you meet all the women, and the food's good. So that's basically how that started. And then what happened was when that band broke up, the 3 of us, we said, well, we know all these, we have our contacts in Europe. We really definitely had more contacts for gigs in Europe than we did over here. And plus, that was the era of the Chicago riots, the political, cops in the streets, and we said, oh, let's just go to Europe. So we did. And that was a mistake because the minute we got over there, our equipment got impounded by a club owner who our previous manager had screwed over. It's like, and that's how I wound up living in Europe and getting the gig in Fleetwood Mac, because I was I was living in Paris and Fleetwood Mac was in England, and that's only like, a 35-minute plane ride.
And so,
yeah.
And so basically, okay, so you hear about Fleetwood Mac. Now here's a group who, first of all, lost Peter Green. Basically, he just kind of did, well, from what I can gather from mix, they just did too many drugs, and one day just kind of like, I don't want to play anymore. And then 6 months later, they lose Jeremy Spencer while they're in Los Angeles, getting ready to do a gig. And so, naturally, they're distraught, I can imagine.
Well, yeah, they lost both their frontmen. Both their frontmen dropped out within, a year and a half of each other. And I was while playing in Europe, and over here, I was vaguely aware of Fleetwood Mac. I read the music papers and the Melody Maker and the English music papers, and I also really liked their songs on the jukeboxes all over France. Oh Well.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't realize Fleetwood Mac with Peter Green were real big in Europe.
Oh yeah.
In the in like 1968, 69, they were real big, and you can say they were stars in Europe. They were just starting to get started in the United States, touring and stuff, and then that's when those guys quit. But the problem was that the 2 guys that had quit, Peter Green and Jeremy Spencer, mainly Peter Green was the group.
Right.
He was the big charismatic, he was the songwriter, the singer, the guitar player. So they were left with basically a rhythm section with no writers.
So how did you feel walking into a big mess, which is basically what it was?
Well, it was very confusing. I was, first of all, I was on my total, I didn't have a pot to what in. I was living in Paris. I had no money. The band, the guys that I'd been playing with had all gone back to the States. I had no prospects, and I felt I was getting older. I was only 25 or 24, but
Oh yeah.
I had this feeling, oh man.
Know that feeling.
And Judy Wong, who had been an old girlfriend of mine from San Francisco, who's now married to Glenn Cornick, the Jeff Latone's bass player, because they were huge. She had a shop in England. She knew all those people. She ran in those circles. And Judy called me and said, well, why don't you come over and try out for the band? I said, well, yeah, what are they looking for? And that was the problem, is that they didn't know.
Yeah.
It was very confusing.
Well, yeah, they went from rhythm to blues, and then Jeremy was kind of taking them into a kind of an old rock and roll thing, if you listen to Kleinhaus. So really, they didn't have a direction.
Well, they didn't have a direction, and I didn't know, really, they never came out and said, because they didn't know what they wanted to do. They knew that they